Hello interweb, my name's Keith and welcome to my moustached Italian workshop. Okay, before we do the reveal of what I'm actually going to be doing my first project on, Italian wise, I thought I'd go through the workshop very quickly, just show you what's in here at the moment. So behind me there I've got a Ducati Dama, very early one of the first couple of hundred. The astute amongst you will notice that it's got the whale tail and it's black and gold, and that didn't come till a year or so later. So the previous owner had painted it black and gold, had done most of the work. I've put a new wiring harness on it, I put a Moto Gadget little box on it, completely rewired it, put a German Satch ignition on it. I'll talk about those little ignition boxes later, maybe do a separate video on those awful little Bosch ignition pots. So yeah, that's pretty much done. This is a 1986, I think it was. It started off as a Cagiva All'Azzurra. For those who know your Ducati history will realise that basically it's a Panther. It's a 650 engine, so it's got the longer stroke crank, 41.7mm I think. I purchased this as a box of bits. Literally every single cog and shaft and nut and bolt was in 1,000 pieces in 2 boxes. So it's been completely restored. It's actually for sale in a few weeks time, so I'll probably do a little video on that. But there's lots of nice interesting things on there. NCR tank, I've got some later Goldline Brembro wheels on, floating discs, nice Conti 2-in-1 NCR type tank. So yeah, I'll separate video for that because that's going to be for sale fairly soon. Okay, so this is where some of the magic happens. So clearly I make and repair various bits and pieces in metal. So I've got this lathe. It's one of the typical Chinese made and then branded as various different marks. This is a Tool Co. I'm sure there's a Warco equivalent, or a well, it depends on what country you're in. They'll be equivalent to those. The thing I quite like about it is it's got a very large diameter inside the jaws here, so I can go up to 36mm. So if I ever had to put a pair of fork tubes in and chop them down, which I might have to do with the parallel twin actually, because they're a Spanish set and I think they're a little bit too long. But anyway, so I may have to do that with that, but it'll be a piece of cake to do that. Got all the tooling all tucked away in here, so pretty much that's set to go. My only limitation with this is that it's not quite big enough to do some of the discs. It'll do a small disc, but I wouldn't be able to skim a large disc. But you know, bigger lathes cost more money. So this was bought new, and I'd kind of recommend that route. I mean, you can get good second-hand equipment, but you really you've got to be lucky. I mean, there's a reason they're second-hand and been sold. So you know, a 60-year-old British or American lathe is probably knackered, and you know, unless you want to spend a lot of time restoring it, you know, arguably it's better just to cut your losses, and not cut your losses, but you know, just go out and get a decent Chinese built lathe. Okay, while we're in this corner, we can just about see here I've got a mill. This is incredibly useful for machining parts when you don't want to spin it round. You spin the tool round instead. So there's various things I've added to this. So there's a 3-axis DRO, so I can just control where I'm moving round. Kind of interestingly enough, I didn't have that when I built this. I machined this top yoke here. I don't know whether you can see it. Can you see this top yoke here from scratch? And I did that manually, which was actually a bit of a pain. I think it prompted me into buying the 3-axis DRO. Lots of bits of paper, writing. We'll take this away, add that, move across there, 20mm over in this direction. Oh, an offset. So that was a pain. So anyway, this 3-axis DRO is great. Another recent addition that I've done is, I don't know whether you can see it here, there's a motor here, so I've got an automatic drive, so I can just power the bed across and have the milling cutter just cutting, and then you can get a nice consistent feel. So normally you kind of crank it over by hand, by feel, but you know, for the last pass I can put a nice, if I want a nice finish, or it needs a nice finish. I've got a little workbench here. Okay, so why is this bench important? Well, it's a metal clad bench, which is nice for working on things, not damaging the wood, although wood's a good surface to have. Anyway, I've got a TIG welder there, so I've got the ability to weld stainless steel and aluminium. maybe not quite the skill set, but we're getting there. So yeah, as you can, that's all out because I'm just playing around with a bit of aluminium today. While we're here, might as well have a look here. So I can do all my grinding and polishing. I recently bought this great big compressor. The reason for that is that I want to run, let's go over to the back over to here, this bad boy. So we've got a shot blaster here, although strictly speaking it's not a shot blaster. I can put whatever medium in there. At the moment I've got soda blast in there, so I did a couple of pieces of aluminium recently and they came out very nice. I'll probably use something more aggressive on steel parts that require painting. So yeah, so that's a kind of a quick tour of the workshop as it is at the moment. So what we'll do now, we'll go outside and we'll see what project 1 is going to be. This is a project. This one's very early days. This is a 650 engine. It actually is a elephant engine. So it did have the exhaust pointing outwards on the rear cylinder, but I've got hold of a forward exhaust Panther head. So my thoughts are with this one, this will be rebuilt as a 650 or probably 750 engine, and then I'll get a TT2 frame and build it into a proper little 750 F1, not an F1, no, kind of TT2, sorry, racing engine. I've not really got that many bits for it. I've got various engine gearbox bits, so I can probably knock together the right ratios in the engine. I've got some wheels for it, but I don't have a frame, so that's a long-term project, so that's one to come your way maybe in a little bit of time. Okay, so here's another bike. This will be a project. This is not running at the moment. I ran it for a couple of years, going to work and back. Very much a rat bike, as you can see. I did very little maintenance, I'm ashamed to say, but it started to get to the stage where it was complaining, so I decided to take it off the road, and it's definitely going to be a project. Oh, there's Winnie. Hello, Winnie. Say hello, Winnie. What is it? It's well, it's a rat bike. So it's a Motor Guzzi 1000 SP3. It doesn't look like an SP3 at all. It was, when I purchased it, a non-running trike. So clearly I got rid of the back end and re-established the diff and the wheels, etc, etc. It was really knocked together, and I kind of like that because it did kind of look kind of neat, to be honest with you, with all this kind of rusty effect. I'll let you into the secret of the rust effect there one day. So this was a tank. This is actually a T3 tank, which I got off my friend Neil. The mudguard came from Gareth, and various other Neil. I think Neil supplied the rear mudguard as well. So, but yeah, it kind of did run. So this is going to have to be stripped right down. I think I'm going to turn it into a nice project. Strip down the frame. The engine is I think pretty shot. The oil used to come out of it in blue oil like crazy when it warmed up, especially in the winter. I'm pretty sure the valve guides are shot. I could do the valve guides myself, I think, but for expediency's sake, I think I'm going to just take it to an engineering shop and have them done quickly, because there's so much to do on here. I'm going to have to shot blast take the engine apart, do the engine, rebuild it, do the gearbox. It would be nice to have this up and running. So this is another project, but it's not the project we're going to be starting up on, because that's coming up now. Okay, so I've got to reveal what we're going to be doing. We're outside, but as you can see, there's an interloper here, I'm ashamed to say, in the Moustached Italian Workshop, but there's not one, there's two. So this is my dirt bike. So we have what are called green lanes in the UK, which you're allowed to go on in the country. There's a few of them. There are under threat at the minute, so that's one interloper, and there's my wife's little CB125, which is a little bit sad, she doesn't get to use it. So I'm kind of walking towards the reveal, so let's have a look what we've got underneath the cover, which is what we're going to start off with first. Okay, so here we are beside the Moustached Italian Workshop, and it's under the cover here. This was purchased by me off a friend of mine called Kieran, who was complaining about it slipping out of gear between 4th and 5th, and then the chain snapped, and he feared all sorts of the worst. He was quoted stupid money to get it repaired, so I've taken it off his hands, and we'll rebuild this and have some fun along the way. So let's see what it is. Well, there's a bit of a clue here with some of these panels. It's actually going to be the newest vehicle we've got. There's a bit of a clue there. I'm going to call it the Lizard because it has this rather ugly covering on it. I think that's the clue. It's a Tour Blanche clue there for you Ducatis out there. Ducatistes. Right, okay, let's just lift the skirt up. Here it is in all its rather unpleasant, dirty glory. It's very bad condition. Very dirty, very rusty, very messy 750 SS. So we could turn it back to a black and grey stealthy type thing, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to turn it back to a nice crisp red Ducati sports bike. Single caliper on the front, so we'll convert that to a single. We'll have to take the engine right apart. We'll have to get it shot blast. Well, I've got the shot blast, so we'll get it shot blast. We'll check all the shims in the engine, check all the clearances, because I'll probably end up changing the bearings as well. We'll see, and then we'll do a complete refurb. So that's going to be project number 1. Here we go. Well, we're all done for the first video. Hopefully I've kept your interest and you'll be wanting to subscribe for more exciting episodes. So see you next time, interweb. Bye.